Welcome back to the IMR Scary Tales. If this is your first time here, my name's the one whispering in your ear tonight. This channel is where I bring you the stories that keep people up at 3 a.m. And tonight, I've got a full set of Home Alone at Night stories for you. 3 of them, all told in the first person. All from people who thought they were safe inside their own homes, right up until they weren't. So if you're home alone right now, lock your doors, check your windows, and maybe leave a light on. Let's begin. The first time I realized my house wasn't really empty at night, I was 17. My parents had gone out of town for the weekend, and they trusted me enough to leave me the house. No parties, no friends over, just me and our old 2-story place at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. It was a Friday during winter. By 10 at night, every house on the block looked dead from the outside. Dark windows, empty driveways. I made myself some ramen, put on a movie in the living room, and convinced myself it was going to be a chill, cozy night. Around 11:30, I paused the movie to grab a drink from the kitchen. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Upstairs. Slow, heavy, like someone in boots, walking from one end of the hallway to the other. I froze in the doorway between the living room and kitchen, staring up at the ceiling. It went quiet. I told myself it had to be the house settling, or the heater kicking on, or one of those things adults always say. I walked to the bottom of the stairs and called out, "Hello?" Silence. I felt stupid, but I started up the stairs anyway. Each step felt louder than it should have in the empty house. At the top, I turned on the hallway light. All 3 bedroom doors were open. My room, my parents' room, the guest room. Nothing looked out of place. I checked the closets, the bathroom, even looked under the beds like a little kid. Nothing. I went back downstairs laughing at myself. I unpaused the movie, turned the volume up, tried to let it go. Maybe 20 minutes later, I heard the footsteps again. This time, they were right above me, right above the living room. Same slow, heavy steps, like someone pacing in a straight line, back and forth, back and forth. I muted the TV. The sound kept going. I didn't go upstairs again. Instead, I grabbed my phone, opened the front door, and stepped outside onto the porch. The cold air hit me, and I told myself if someone had broken in, I'd see a window open or something weird. Everything looked normal. No broken glass, no lights on upstairs, nothing. I was standing there, staring up at my dark 2nd-story windows, when I saw it. The blinds in my bedroom moved. Not a breeze, not slowly settling. They snapped shut like someone had been peeking out and let go as soon as I looked up. I backed down the steps without meaning to. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I called my dad. He answered half asleep. I told him someone was in the house. He told me to get in the car, lock the doors, and call the cops.
So I did. I sat in the driver's seat in our driveway, watching the house, keys in the ignition in case I had to leave. I never took my eyes off my bedroom window. The police showed up 10 minutes later. 2 cars. They searched the entire house while I waited on the curb. When they came back out, they told me what I already knew they were going to say. Nobody's inside, all the doors and windows are locked from the inside, nothing's disturbed. One of the officers tried to be nice about it. Old houses make noise. You've probably just never noticed it when you weren't alone. I wanted to believe him. I stayed with a friend that night instead of going back in. The next day, when I came home with my parents, my mom noticed something I hadn't. The dust on the floor of the attic access panel and the hallway ceiling was disturbed, right under where the footsteps had been. We didn't store anything up there. We barely ever opened it. To this day, I don't know if someone was living in our attic or if something else was pacing over my head that night. All I know is that there is nothing quite like realizing that the sounds you hear above you are not in your imagination. They're in your house. Years later, when I finally moved into my own apartment, I thought things would feel different, safer somehow. I was on the 3rd floor with a good deadbolt, a peephole, and neighbors on every side. No creaky attic, no long, dark hallways. For the first few months, it really was peaceful. I worked late, came home around midnight, heated up leftovers, and watched YouTube until I fell asleep on the couch. One night, it was just past 2 a.m. I'd shut everything off and gone to bed. I sleep with my bedroom door closed and a small lamp on the nightstand. I remember rolling over to check my phone one last time before putting it face down. Right as I was closing my eyes, I heard my front door handle jiggle. At first, it was faint, like someone brushing past it in the hallway. Then it got more deliberate. Metal, turning, rattling, like somebody was trying different levels of pressure to see if it would give. I held my breath and stared at my bedroom door. My brain was racing through all the obvious possibilities. Wrong apartment, drunken neighbor, someone playing around. But whoever it was didn't stop. The knob rattled, paused, rattled again. I slid out of bed as quietly as I could and grabbed the heaviest thing I owned, a cheap metal floor lamp. I crept up to my bedroom door and listened. Nothing now. The apartment was dead silent. I opened my door, every muscle in my body tensed, lamp held like a baseball bat. The front door was in sight from the hallway. The chain lock was off. The deadbolt was still set, but the latch, the one you just turned the knob to open, was halfway turned. The handle was crooked, stuck at a weird angle like someone had been twisting it from the other side when it couldn't open. I walked up to the peephole and looked out. The hallway was empty. I stood there for a long time watching absolutely nothing happen, my eye getting tired from pressing into the little circle of glass. Finally, I slid the chain on, double-checked the deadbolt, and went to bed. I didn't sleep though. Around 3:15 a.m., I heard it again. Not the knob this time. Breathing, right outside my bedroom door. Slow, deep breathing. Not through a vent, not from upstairs, right on the other side of the wood, like someone had their mouth almost pressed against it, just listening. I stared at the door, paralyzed. Every few seconds, the breathing would hitch slightly, like whoever it was trying to be quiet and failing. I never moved. I never spoke. I just lay there, eyes wide open, feeling like if I even shifted, whoever or whatever was out there would know for sure that I was awake. After what felt like an hour, the breathing stopped. I waited until the sun came up before I finally opened that door. Nothing was out of place. The apartment looked exactly the way I left it. The front door was still locked, chain still on. The only proof I have that anything happened at all is the fact that to this day, I can't sleep without a noise machine running and my bedroom door cracked open just enough that I can see the front door from my bed. Because knowing someone tried to get in once is bad enough, not being sure if they ever actually left is worse. The last story I'm going to share with you tonight happened when I house sat for a family friend. They had a big place out in the suburbs, nicer than anywhere I'd ever lived. 2 stories, big backyard, security cameras, motion lights, the whole deal. They were going on vacation for a week and asked if I could stay there to watch the dog and bring in the mail. The first few nights were fine. I worked during the day, came back, fed the dog, watched TV, went to bed in the guest room downstairs. The master bedroom was upstairs at the end of the hall, and I never had a reason to go up there. On the 4th night, I was lying on the couch with the dog at my feet when I heard the first chime. It was a soft ding from the little keypad by the front door. I'd heard it earlier that day. Every time a door opened, the system would make a quick chime. Except, I was the only one home, and I hadn't moved. The dog's head snapped up. He stared at the hallway that led to the front door, ears forward, body rigid. Probably a glitch, I said out loud, more for myself than for him. Then it chimed again.
I got up slowly and walked to the keypad. No doors or windows showed as open. The little screen just flashed ready. I checked the front door anyway. Locked. Back door, locked. Garage door, closed. I reset the system and went back to the couch. 10 minutes later, the chime went off again. This time, the dog started growling. Low from his chest, hackles up. He stared not at the front door, but at the dark stairway leading to the second floor. I didn't want to go up there. Every horror movie I'd ever seen was screaming at me to stay downstairs, get in the car, leave. But this was someone else's house. Their stuff, their dog, their alarm system going off for no reason. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and started up the stairs. The dog stayed at the bottom, whining, pacing in little circles like he wanted to follow but couldn't. The second floor was darker than it should have been. All the doors leading off the hallway were half open. A home office, a kid's room, a bathroom. The master bedroom was at the end, its door wide open, black inside. I walked down the hall, checking each room quickly. Nothing looked disturbed. No broken windows, no strange shadows, just the normal clutter of a family's life. When I reached the master bedroom doorway, I stopped. It was freezing in there. I could feel the temperature drop just standing outside it. My flashlight beam shook slightly as I swept it across the big bed, the dresser, the mirrored closet doors. That's when my phone buzzed in my hand. I looked down. It was a notification from the security app they'd left installed on the phone for me to use. Motion detected, living room camera. The snapshot attached to the notification loaded slowly over the Wi-Fi. When it finally appeared, my blood went cold. It was a grainy still image of the living room downstairs, time-stamped for exactly 5 seconds ago. I could see the couch, I could see the TV, I could see the dog, and I could see a dark, human-shaped figure standing behind the couch, inches away from where my head had been resting 10 minutes earlier. No features, just a tall, black outline, like something standing too close to the camera, except it wasn't. It was the perfect size for someone just standing there. My first thought was that someone had broken in and was still inside the house with me. I backed away from the bedroom, heart hammering, and called out, "Hello? I'm calling the police." The house didn't answer. I ran downstairs, dog barking like crazy now. I checked every door, every closet, even under the dining room table. There was nobody there. The motion alert never chimed again. I saved the snapshot, locked every door twice, and spent the rest of the night sitting upright on the couch with all the lights on, the dog pressed against my leg, staring at that dark space behind the couch where the figure had been. When the family came back from vacation, I showed them the photo. They went pale. The wife told me they'd been hearing footsteps on the second floor at night for months. The husband admitted he sometimes woke up feeling like someone was standing in the doorway watching him. They'd installed the cameras for peace of mind. I think all they really did was prove they weren't imagining it. If you're still here, wide awake, listening to this, Thanks for making it all the way to the end. If any part of you felt a little too seen by these stories, if you've heard footsteps in an empty hallway or your doorknob has rattled when you know it's locked, tell me about it in the comments. I read them, I use them. Your story might be the next nightmare I share here. Make sure you hit subscribe to the IMR Scary Tales, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next set of stories, and if you were brave enough to listen to this while home alone, let me know with a "I'm still awake" down below. Now, before you go to sleep tonight, maybe just check your doors one more time. And if you hear footsteps above you, you'd better hope it's just the house.